Trista Polo has over 16 years experience as a business owner and entrepreneur. She coaches CEOs, managers, team leaders, and entrepreneurs on self-worth, mindset, communication, leadership, teamwork, and the soft skills needed to succeed. Trista is a published author, speaker, trainer, and podcast host. Her mission is to help people win, whatever winning looks like to them, because we woke up awesome just as we are, and we deserve all the best life has to offer. Yes, 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 yes. Snaps, claps, all of the hoorays for that, Trista. Amazing, amazing, amazing. You are speaking my language.
Welcome to Heal and Grow with Nikki. I'm your host, Nickiekrommingahill. Here we talk about everything: grief, hope, illness, work, family, tragedy, possibilities, fun stuff, and not so fun stuff. It's all on the table. Let's take a look at our lives and work to heal and grow together. I'm so glad you're here.
Hi, welcome. Welcome to Heal and Grow with Nikki.
So excited to be here.
Yay! And so everyone, before we really get started, this was like a serendipitous meeting that happened. I feel like, Trista, I don't know. Also, you're just a brave and courageous person. Trista and I actually do not know one another other than the 10 minutes we spoke right before this, right before we started recording.
That's right.
Trista found me through the Polka Dot Powerhouse website, and I've talked about polka dots quite a bit on my podcast. You're a new dot, aren't you?
I am. I just joined my local chapter, which is Northern Chesapeake in Maryland, December. Just joined December, so just a couple of months ago. Yeah.
Yay, yay, yay. I hope you find it as awesome and meaningful as I have. So tell everybody how you found me, because I think it's just super smart.
Well, I have this book coming out, and one of the things, yay, and one of the things that you want to do is to get the word out, because you could have the best book in the world, but if nobody ever reads it, then who knew?
Right.
And so,
points.
yeah, what was the point? So one of the ways is to get on podcasts and talk to like-minded people, kind of share audiences with people that are already out there sharing things that are similar. And so I went on to the Polka Dot Powerhouse website. I logged in, I did a search, and I just searched for the word podcast. And some people love podcasts. Some people have podcasts, and, you get the information from their bio. And so I just started reaching out and saying, hey, I'm new to Polka Dot and I'd love to connect, and I have a book coming out. And if you consider me for your podcast, if I would be a good fit, I would love the opportunity. And you responded, and here we are.
Oh my gosh. I remember I probably didn't respond this way in my email because I didn't know you then, but I was like, oh, hell yes, I want to talk to this person. Okay. So many things to talk about. First, Trista's book comes out on Valentine's Day.
On Valentine's Day. It's called Self-Love Shenanigans, The Awesome Journey to Unleashing Your Confidence. It's all about self-love. How could it come out on any other day besides Valentine's Day? It couldn't.
Seriously, it's perfect. And this podcast will come out on the 13th. So dear listeners, tomorrow you need to buy this book. Self-Love Shenanigans, The Awesome Journey to Unleashing Your Confidence. Okay. I have to tell you, this is another reason why I was a hell yes. One of my favorite words in the English language is shenanigan.
Is that right? I love that word.
I say it all the time. It's a thing at my work. We say shenanigans all the time. And so immediately I was like, I must meet this woman that has shenanigans in the title of her book. Tell me why you picked that word.
I think if it's not fun, you shouldn't do it.
Yes.
I really like things to be fun. I think that it makes hard work easier. I think it makes things that you're dreading easier to do, and you can accept and welcome them. And so yes. Self-love's really a deep topic, and it can get deep. It can.
It really can.
So I wanted to keep it fun and light. You might notice from my personality, and the picture behind me is the cover. I'm all about bold color. I've gotten louder as I've gotten older and stopped apologizing
Amen.
for being loud. And I
No.
just wanted it to be a fun experience. Some of the early readers have said that know me personally and know my personality. They've said it's like I'm talking to them.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's what I wanted. So it's fun, it's light, and the information's really important.
I think I said that to you too, because I haven't read the whole book, but I've read parts of it. And immediately I was like, this person feels like sounds like a friend. This
That's
is
amazing.
yeah, which and
Thank
that's
you.
just that's
Oh,
I think like just you who you are authentically, but also just like your speaker voice, your writer voice is so friendly and so and I mean this as a compliment, non-clinical.
mm, yeah,
Because I feel like when we talk about these important things like self-love, self-awareness, um, it's very easy to get into this mindset of being sort of a clinician. Yes, yes, being sort of a tunnel vision clinician.
yes.
Um, and that's just personally not how I react with the world. Um,
Yeah. And I
so
want to say, since you said that, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's important that I say I'm not a clinician. I'm not a social worker. I'm not a psychologist. It's written from my own experiences of what worked for me. And I'm hearing from, again, early readers, since it's not out yet, that it is a lot of stuff that some of the people that I'm talking to have been through as well in therapy. In
yeah,
fact, I just have to share, no names, but a friend of mine texted me and said, something. And then I responded. And then they went to therapy and got my text after and said, you said in this text exactly what my therapist just said to me. So again,
yeah.
not a therapist, not trained in that way, but I've done so much work and research and reading for myself. And these are the things that I know work and that have worked for me and that have worked for my coaching clients. So I just wanted to put that out there.
As a person who goes to therapy, who's been going to therapy for 32 years,
Mm.
I felt like, and I've had many different therapists throughout the years, but I was like, oh, this is the therapist that I want when in reading your book.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and again, in a non-clinical sort of way,
Yeah.
just the way in which you speak and which you talk about these really important things, growth, strategies for self-care, which I love because I feel like the term self-care is sort of getting a bad rap.
Hmm.
And yet, when I read your work, I'm like, no, this is all important stuff. This is easy-ish stuff to implement slowly into your lives. I don't know. I'm just like a huge fan. I'm gonna be your total fangirl, and you're gonna be like,
Great.
"Hey,
The
what's
feeling is mutual, by
that?"
the way.
So tell us, I mean, there's so many amazing things to talk about in your book. One thing I want to get to is just the word awesome. I know we already talked about the word shenanigans,
Hmm.
but the word awesome comes up in your work, not just your book, but in your work a
Yeah.
lot. In fact, you have a kick-ass t-shirt on right now that says, I woke up awesome. Look at that. I hope everybody, I'll try to put the video on for this one too. But if you don't see it, it's a dragonfly and it says, I woke up awesome, because hell yes, you did. You woke up awesome. You woke up
Yes.
complete. You woke up worthy. Um,
Yes.
and can we talk about that for a little
Yes.
bit? Like, just
Yeah, for sure.
you have this assurance of yourself, and I'm going to guess because you are a human being and a woman, you didn't maybe always have that assurance in yourself.
Sure.
Now you're able
Good
to say,
guess.
I woke up awesome, and so did you. Like, how did you get to that place?
So, Kurt, totally a journey, not a light switch.
Love
Still
that.
on it.
Journey, not a light switch. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
not a light switch. Absolutely a journey. I'm still on. I definitely have had lots of self-worth issues over my lifetime. I remember that when I was in high school, I ended up in a classroom with a bunch of football players. It was a small class, it was an algebra class, and I've never been great at numbers and
Yeah.
math. And all that.
Samesies.
Yeah. And I was like, something weird, something weird going on with my butt. Like I'm having a pain in my butt, but I was so not wanting to call attention to myself because they were football players in
Right.
that stereotypical way. And I was a band and drama geek in that
Yes, me
stereotypical way.
too.
So I was already not a cool kid
Yeah.
in a room full of cool guys. I'm a woman, girl, etc. And I just had this pain, but I refused to call attention to myself. I was so embarrassed about putting any attention on me that I sat there the whole class, just like kind of having this uncomfortable, situation. It turns out they had put a tack on my chair at the beginning
Oh
of
my
class.
God.
And I sat on that tack the entire class. And I think back, I was wearing jeans, which is why it wasn't super painful. And it was like a pain I could survive. And that's just one example of a physical pain. I decided I could survive instead of facing it. But
Mm,
I have lots of that, so much childhood trauma, like we all do.
sure.
And so I had a lot of self-worth stuff growing up that I didn't deserve to actually take time from the teacher and take attention to myself for fear of being ridiculed. And it worked out in my favor, by the way. They never bugged me about that because if I was willing to sit on a tack the entire classroom, then don't mess with me.
Right.
But they left me alone after that. But that's just an example of like, I don't deserve.
Oh,
I don't deserve to figure out what's happening that's hurting me. I'm just going to just be hurt because it's a pain I can survive, I can live through. And what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And so all of the processes and the books and the classes and the things that I've done, a lot of journaling, has brought me to this epiphany one day. I wanted to do a YouTube channel. And I thought, what do you have to say? You don't have anything to say. Who would want to hear from you?
mm,
I have this thing where I believe that my contribution isn't worthy. That if
mm,
it's sort of it's a wonderful life kind of
sure.
thing.
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference if I don't show up? Who's even going
Right.
to care that I'm not there? I don't have that anymore. You can't write a book from your words and feel that way, by the way. You have to believe you
Right.
have some value to put out. But I woke up one morning like, who am I not to put out a YouTube channel?
There you go.
Right now, in this moment, I woke up, I forgot to take my makeup off. I am, my hair is disheveled. I'm just waking up. I have morning breath, etc. And I am still awesome just as I am.
Yes.
And I have something to say. And so then I woke up awesome. That's where that comes from. Like it really came from this epiphany, like right now, just waking up in this moment, I am perfect just as I am, even in my imperfections, because I worked for everything I am and I earned it through every experience that I've had. Now I still have self-doubt and I still have worth issues and I still have all those things. And so what I want to share that I think is really important is that stuff never goes away in my experience.
Mm-hmm.
And in the experiences of everyone I've spoken to, that stuff never goes away. The question is when you have that thought, like I'm not worthy, or whatever that thought is, what do you do next?
Mm.
Do you let that pile up and find evidence and talk yourself like a little motivational speech of how much you suck? Or do you flip the switch and say, well, let's think of one small little thing that I could find right now in this moment that makes me feel like maybe I might be worthy, maybe. And then let that build and build up on that and create a motivational speech about positive.
Yes.
So that was kind of a long way around, but that's how the journey came. And when I moved to Maryland in July of this past year of 2023, I had to reestablish my business. And I actually called it I Woke Up Awesome because that is who I am and who you are. You also woke up awesome. Every one of us is awesome just as we are. In fact, I don't know if you can see it, the back of my shirt. Can you see the back of my shirt?
You woke up awesome just as you are. I
So
love
every time I see people on the street,
that.
when they walk by me or where they're walking behind me, they get a message and reminder.
Is that something I can buy from you off of your website?
Let's say yes, coming soon.
Coming soon. Okay, everybody, you heard it
Soon.
first. Wow, way to just put you on the spot. Sorry
How about
about
that?
No, I love that. I realize we haven't even talked about your book at all. I'm sorry. There's just
We
so many
have sort
things
of.
I
There it
want to
is.
talk
There it is. There it
about.
is.
Um, okay. Tell us about your book. Here are the takeaways, everybody. Um, increase self-awareness. So if you read this book, you follow the activities, you do the journalings, increase self-awareness. Yes, who doesn't want that? We need that. Improve self-confidence. Yes, please. I would love some more of that. Then there's strategies for self-care. Thank you, because I need some of those, and enhance personal growth. Obviously, I'm here for that because it's part of what heal and grow. And these are all things that all four of these things are things that help me every day on my like personal healing and growing journey, just I think the self-awareness is something that's kind of new for me. Maybe that's something that we get when we get a little bit older. I don't know. But I don't know, all of this. So those are the four takeaways, everybody. Buy this book. I mean, obviously there's way more than just these four things, but these are the four things you are going to get when you read Trista's book. Tell us about your book, Trista. I want to hear about it in your own words.
I thought you'd never ask.
I know, because I like to talk.
No, not that. I'm going to tell you a secret. Writing a book is one thing. Promoting and publishing and putting the book out is a completely different set of skills.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
had no idea what I was getting into when I started.
Yeah.
And so for the last few weeks, I've just been talking to everybody I can about the book.
Yeah.
Because again, if nobody knows it's coming, then how would they know that they want it?
How to get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's gotten to the point where my mother invited me to something, an event that she's, I don't know, sponsoring or something. And we went last year and it's, March 10th or whatever it is. And she said, "So do you want to go to that?" I'm like, "Does that have to do with my book being published in a week?" No, then I can't talk about that right now.
I can't talk about anything.
I can't talk about that right now. But if you want to talk about my
Okay.
book, I'm all in.
Right.
So I guess what I want to say is that I took everything that has worked for me, put it down to its simplest form that I could, and then shared it with strategies and tips and story of my own so that it would be available in a lot of different ways because everybody learns differently. It wasn't, again, a light switch. It wasn't one thing, one book, one video, one affirmation that made the difference.
Yeah.
It was like a building block of a lot of things that when they came all together and along with my willingness to allow them in, it made the difference. And so the book is kind of like a resource manual. It has lots of different topics. It talks about forgiveness and failure and gratitude and affirmations and all kinds of things. And some of the stuff you'll be like, "Gratitude, I already know about that." Okay, great. Maybe look at it with different eyes because I actually have some pieces about gratitude in my book that I had never heard until I learned them. And when I implemented them, not only did they save my marriage during the pandemic, but it actually made me fall more madly in love with my husband.
Just love
And
that.
we are already in a very strong 27-year marriage.
Wow,
So,
congratulations.
yeah, thank you. So there it's, really about lots of different ways to look at the relationship you have with yourself. And you can read the whole book. You can open it to a chapter. I like to say, don't read the book, be the book. And what I mean by that is you can read the words, they might impact you, something might click. One of the things that I say in there might have a paradigm shifting effect. But if you read all the words and then put it down, you're not going to get the same level of effect as if you be the book. You actually do the activities at the end of each chapter, which help you implement some practice of what we just talked about. The journaling questions I mentioned before, journaling has been such a game changer for me.
Really.
And so I wanted to include journaling in there as well. I've been told there's so much value of the being piece that I should create a workbook and a journal and da 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 da
Like
because
just
they
being
could stand on
command
their
pieces.
own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great idea. Are you Um, no, you are a part of another book. You've already written part of a book before.
Yes, I was a contributing author for a
Okay.
book called Abundance Volume 1, and each of us just shared what abundance meant to us. It was
Mhm.
empowering. It was an empowering experience because it allowed me to see myself as an author.
Right.
These are my words, and I have something to say, and it's valuable enough that it's printed in a book with
Right.
binding and a
Yes.
cover
It's
and an
real.
ISBN number.
Right. Yes, I
It's an
understand.
official.
Yeah, but this is your first. Do you say that this is your first book or do you say that this is your second book?
I say that this is my first book and that I am a published author,
Okay.
because the other book I'm listed as but it's not my
Sure. It's
author
not just
page.
you.
And
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Oh my gosh, it's just terribly exciting. So,
it's terribly exciting.
it's terribly exciting. And you said something a minute ago that I want to touch back on. You said that um the ideas and the concepts in your book are not necessarily original or unique. Which of course that makes total sense to me. But sometimes when someone else says it differently or you hear like I am absolutely into hearing about how gratitude helped you fall more madly in love with your husband during the pandemic. I mean, it's just you never know how your personal story is going to touch another person, even if
Yeah.
they already, yeah, I've done the self-care, I've done the gratitude, I've done the journaling. Sure, okay, but you haven't done it through this lens, you know? Just try it. Like, folks, I don't even know this woman, and I'm like, I kind of want to just hang out with you all of the time. Like, that's
I'm
the
in.
power. That's the
I'm
power.
in.
That's the energy that you have. And I'm so excited to read the whole thing. What is there anything that surprised you while you were writing this book? Like, oh, I didn't know I felt this way about that, or oh, I thought I had healed this thing with myself, but it turns out I haven't, and it's coming back up in this book, or like, yeah, did anything just really surprise you?
Yes. So two things. First of all, I am one of those people that because of whatever went on in my childhood, I don't have a lot of memories of my
Mm,
childhood. I can't remember unless it really had a very positive or very negative impact. I just don't have memories from my childhood. They're very sparse.
sure.
And so there were things that I remembered happening as I was writing the book that came to the surface that I didn't remember until I started writing it. And I feel like that kind of speaks to that this has so much value for others and it was a healing journey for myself. If
Yeah.
you ever think you might want to write a book, highly recommend it. The second piece was not the writing of it, but the promoting and publishing of it. I am experiencing every chapter of this book as I am putting it out into the world. Like failure, I've made mistakes, self doubt. Is anybody going to like this book?
Mm,
Gratitude, flipping the switch, all the kinds of things that I have in the book, I've been able to re-practice as I am putting the book into the world. And so much so that I have a private Facebook group that I created for people that wanted to get updates and things, just kind of as a way to create the community and start the promotion of it. And I started doing lives like, oh, chapter 9 showed up for me today. I got, I'm going to
cool.
be so it's just amazing that I didn't expect the book to come up in my life so much
Yeah,
while I was putting it out into the world. It's a
that's
surprise.
so interesting.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. We're gonna have to do a follow-up with you in a couple of months just about like how did it go and how's it going?
Yeah.
All that stuff. Um,
Well, can I tell you my goal?
yeah, what's your goal?
So my goal is I want to be a best-selling author.
Yes.
And I want this book to do that. So that's why I've been doing so much getting it out there in the world. I feel like the word promotion has kind of a bad rap. So I think that's
Yeah.
why I keep trying to say a different thing, but promoting it and getting the word out. That's a goal of mine to be a best-selling author. I have a novel that I've written all but the end of, and I really, when it's over, when it's done, I want to be like, here's my novel. I'm a best-selling author. You should
Yeah.
publish it.
Right, right. So what does it mean, like actually, like logistically? What do you have to do to be a best-selling author? Is that like so many copies sold? And what is like, is there an established benchmark for that already, or is it your personal thing?
Yeah. So it's so funny because it is not what you think. All right. So I'm just going to I'm going to spill the tea.
Okay, okay,
On,
great.
on what it
I
is to be
want
a
it.
best-selling author. Okay.
Yeah,
So I'm going for it on Amazon.
yeah.
So there are two different Amazon best-selling author things that you look at. New York Times is a completely different animal.
Okay.
And that apparently almost have to know somebody who works at the New York Times
Oh, to get,
or
yeah.
have your book published by a publisher that's well known to make it that way.
Okay.
So I'm not doing that. So Amazon, you can be a best-selling author in two different ways. If your book goes to number one in one category, even for 1 second, then you're a best-selling author and you can claim that for yourself.
And
So
you just,
that's the one piece.
I'm an Amazon best-selling author.
I'm an Amazon best-selling author. My book made it to number one in at least one category.
Right.
Now, so that's what I'm going for on launch day.
Okay.
So on launch day, my book is in, multiple categories, and I'm going to be having all those three categories up at the same time and just hitting refresh and
Yeah.
refresh and refresh over and over so I can catch it and get the screenshot, not if, declaring when it happens.
Absolutely.
When.
Oh, I am so into just like declaring what it is. Yes.
Yes. If you then, for 10 days in a row, have a rolling average of the top 25 in any category, like the same category. So if you have the top 25 rank in a category over a 10-day rolling average, then Amazon declares you a bestseller on Amazon, and they'll give you a little label on the book page. And I don't know, maybe they send you artwork. It's never happened to me, so I can't say for sure.
Right.
But then they'll promote you as a best-selling author, as a best-selling book, as a best-selling book. And so those are the two pieces. So the first benchmark is hitting number one in at least one category in a day.
Okay.
Or it could happen for 5 minutes and then, go back down. And then the other one is the rolling average.
So how do we help you get that?
The best way is to buy, it's going to be on for 99 cents on Valentine's Day. That's my Valentine to you.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. It's the Kindle version. So you'll be able to download it either on your Kindle or any smart device. You don't even have to have Kindle today to read an ebook from Amazon.
I know.
So just a 99-cent contribution to my goal on Valentine's Day is the best way to help.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, done. Like that's going to happen. And I'll link all of this stuff for our listeners so that they can get it to easily too. But, how are you feeling? Like, how are you feeling about all of this? I know you're excited, obviously.
I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm like a spiritual skeptic. Okay. So I don't know if that's a real thing. Maybe I just coined it. But
that's your next book.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I'm going to write that down. Spiritual skeptic. I'm writing it down because the thing is, I'm very spiritual. I meditate, I journal, I believe in energy of all things.
Yep.
I earth, I talk to my spirit guides. I am a very spiritual person.
Interrupt you for a second.
Yeah.
What do you mean by I earth?
Oh, I earth. Yeah. I walk around barefoot in the earth.
Oh, is that called earthing?
Earthing or grounding. It's yeah.
Okay, sorry. I was like,
no, that's fine. That's just most people call it grounding now that you mentioned it. But yeah, I call it earthing. But it's the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I'm very skeptical that it's actually really true.
Interesting.
So I follow all of it, but my faith, it wanes.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a story I'll tell you that's in the book. I don't trust my gut. I don't believe that my gut has my back because I don't believe that life has my back. That's my default setting. Life doesn't have my back. And so I was going through all of this process of growing and expanding and falling in love with myself. And I really wanted to trust myself, but I didn't. And have you ever heard of muscle testing?
Yes.
Okay.
I've
Have
had
you?
it done.
So for people that haven't, it's where you like hold your arm up and then somebody asks you a question. And if they can push your arm down, it's a no. And if they can't, then it's a yes. Like your body answering questions. I was like, I could fake that. I could totally fake that. And then have you ever heard of using a pendulum to find an answer?
I have heard of that. I have not done that.
So you have like a yes or no, and you hold usually it's a crystal or some sort of rock on a chain, and you just hold it so it's completely still, and you say, "Show me yes," and you don't move. And all of a sudden it starts moving, let's say left to right.
Yeah.
And then you stop it, and then you say, "Show me no." And then maybe it moves front and back, and you stop it. And now you ask questions. And if it goes side to side, it's a yes. And if it goes front and back, it's a no. Well, I could fake that too. Like I never believe any of that.
Okay.
So I read a book that said you can get an answer from the universe, just demand an answer and then say how long you want the answer by. Like, I want to know this, and you have 72 hours to deliver. I'm like, great. Right? It's like demanding of the universe. Have you ever heard of that? So I said, universe, please show me with definitive, unwavering proof how I can trust my gut.
Yeah.
How I can trust a yes or no answer. So I have never heard of anybody else that does this. This is why I'm laughing. So for many, many years now, if there's a question I ask, if it's a yes, I yawn.
Okay.
And if it's a no, I gag.
Wow. Okay.
Ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Because it's like, who wants to be able to gag? But you know what? You cannot say that I am yawning I'm not faking. You can't really fake a yawn.
Okay.
You can
Right.
fake like you're sounding like you're yawning, but the
Right.
actual,
Not a real one. Yeah.
you can't fake a real yawn, and you can't fake a real gag. You
Right.
can pretend to gag, but your body's not doing it, and you can feel the difference. And it's, for me, it's like all in my throat, like right in the throat and upper chest area. God forbid I get many questions that are no's in a row.
You just
Very unpleasant.
gagging.
Very unpleasant. But I have friends that will be just at lunch and they'll know this about me,
Oh
and
my
I'll
God.
yawn and they'll say, "What? Did something I just say give you a yes? Should I do it?" You know, because they're like looking for me to yawn and gag.
You're like, no, I'm just tired.
Yeah. Well, you yawn when you're low on oxygen too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's interesting though is as I've begun to trust that, it's gotten more subtle. So now, like, I might not actually, it might just be the thing you start to do in the back of your throat. So it's less unpleasant for the gag and less noticeable
Yeah.
for other people. But it comes back to like spiritual skeptic. I do not believe any of it, but I want it so badly to be true. And the more I believe it, the more power I have in the world, and the more I can influence on purpose. We all influence everything all the time with our thoughts, which is why it's so important to love ourselves.
Right.
And have high self-worth, because we only get what we deserve. I always say your network or your net worth is limited by your self-worth.
Yes.
You only ever have what you think you deserve to have.
Right.
So as I have grown my self-worth and I have become less skeptical, but I definitely, I'm like, I don't know. There's that voice in the back of my head.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that is fascinating to me. Wow. Okay. That's you have so many books in there.
I know it's a whole lot.
2 minutes.
And I think, I feel like nobody else, I've never heard of anybody else that does that. So I'd be curious
No.
if you have any listeners that have ever done that, or that if they know.
If you yawn or gag, please let us know.
To answer questions. Not because you had bad fish. Not because you had bad fish.
Okay, yeah. To clarify, if you just gag or yawn because that's what your body's doing, no, thank you. I want to know if it's a sign from the universe.
That's right.
Oh my
Exactly.
gosh, that's hilarious. Not hilarious. It's just really
It's hilarious. It's weird. It's ridiculous.
weird.
Chapter 1 of my book is Be Weird. It's your
Be
superpower.
weird. I loved that. I loved that because I think so many times we're like, oh, I'm sort of strange. I sort of don't fit in here. And then we try to cover it up and it's like, no, just be your weird self. Like
That's right.
that's what the world needs.
Because that's right. Absolutely. It makes you unique. But the other thing is if you think people don't know your weirdness, it
Of
slips
course they
out. They know.
they
And
know.
so if you own it, they can respect you for it
Right.
instead of using it against you.
Yes. Yes. That's
Yeah.
why like I'll make a joke about myself before anyone else can. Like I'm already aware of my
I know
strangeness,
about this.
so
Yeah,
so I get to own it. I get to control the narrative, and you don't get to.
that's right. I actually have a question for you.
Yeah. Ooh, ooh,
You, you, you,
ooh,
oh, you said
ooh.
about grounding, earthing. Is that something that you do? Like, what's your experience
You
with
know,
it?
I haven't.
Should we tell people what it is?
Well, I've always thought that grounding was just well, like how you described, like really just being outside with your shoes
Yeah.
off, in
Yes.
nature, in the dirt, in the
Yep.
grass. The closest experience I've ever really had to that is I'm thinking of the brand name right now, and that's making temporary earth art. Um,
Oh,
there's this organization I took some classes through called Morning Altars, and it talks about how to use what's in nature to create art, like sticks, leaves, flowers, branches, whatever, and even asking it permission, like may I use you, and then creating art like for healing, for grieving, for celebrating, and so that's not really grounding, but that's kind of my take on it. Um,
I love that.
yeah. It's really cool. I think he just calls it earth art. Uh,
Yeah. I wrote down the name,
yeah,
Morning
morning
Altars.
altars,
I love
morning,
that.
like good morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've taken his classes and I've made several things just like in my backyard, like whatever
Oh,
flew
cool.
in to create with. Yeah. Um, so that's sort of my version of grounding or
I
earthing.
love that.
Yeah, it's really cool. Look into it. And I could put that in the comments for the show notes for this episode too, so that other people can check it out. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
okay, so you have a big day on Wednesday.
I do.
All gonna buy your book. We're all
Great.
going to give it 5 stars and leave a review, and we're all gonna share it with other people so that it reaches as many people as possible.
Can I make 2 requests?
Absolutely, you can.
Okay. So the first thing is I'm creating a community around the book.
Yeah,
And so that is on Facebook. Can I share where?
please.
Okay, great. So it is called the Self Love, Shenanigans, and Stories Collective.
Oh, fun.
I think if you just type in Self Love Shenanigans, it should come up.
And Stories Collective. Okay,
Yeah.
yep, I'll find that and I can link it.
So that's the first thing. And what was the second one?
I don't even know.
I do. Okay. So,
Yay.
sorry. Brain came back. So the second one is you are excited to read the book
Yes.
and you perused it already and you said,
Yep.
you thought it had great value. But you have also had moments where you have fallen more deeply in love with yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because you're on the journey too.
Yes.
I want this to not just be about me and my journey.
Mhm.
And I didn't feel like I could share clients' journeys because, confidentiality. I just didn't feel comfortable with it without going and getting everybody's, permission and all that stuff. But what I have created is called the Self-Love Stories Collection. And I'm asking for people to share like a 2 to 3 minute video
Mm,
about how you have fallen more deeply in love with yourself. Like, what was the catalyst? How did it occur? Why did it occur? What's possible for you now? What was the outcome? I have it all on my website.
awesome.
But I think it's just so important that we all share our
Yep.
personal journey and stories because who
Yes.
knows? Hopefully, my stories will make a difference for people. But I know that your story probably would too.
Yeah.
And it's not about, this is a book I read and here's what I read about it and here's what the book is about and here's why I love the book. It's like, I read this book and this is what's possible for me now.
Mm.
And
Oh, I love this.
yeah. So if anyone resonates with that and would like to share a story, we're still collecting them right now to put together in a special collection, a digital book collection where all the videos will be put
Ooh.
together.
Yes, I
Yeah.
want to be part of that.
Absolutely great. It's part of what I'm sharing with people who registered for the journey of the book coming out. But of course, everyone who's part of it will get a copy as well.
Ugh, this is amazing. I love the community that you're creating, that you've created. I mean, I'm just loving. I'm
Thank you.
sort of dancing in your chair right now, and
I'm
I'm loving
dancing,
that. Like,
yeah.
we're totally having a dance party for a second. This is all fantastic. I'm going to link everything in the show notes. I'm
Awesome.
so excited for you. I'm so proud of you for just like showing up awesome all of the time and saying, I've got a voice and here's my voice, because people are gonna resonate with you. I already do resonate with you, and
Thank you.
just met
Thank
you.
you.
So everyone, please go out and get a copy of Trista's book, Self-Love Shenanigans, The Awesome Journey to Unleashing Your Confidence. And Trista, thank you so much for being here with me today.
You, Nikki, this has been amazing.
Yay!
And one last thing I want to say is I am only maybe one step ahead of other people on this journey, which gives me something to contribute. And you, the listener, is probably only even 1 or 5 steps ahead of others. So even if you're not sure that you know enough to share your journey, start sharing it anyway. Because there's somebody out there that will really be able to take to heart, and it can make a difference for them. And you may never know that it made a difference, but it still did.
Right.
And it matters.
You got to share your story. I love that. All right. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, thank you for healing and growing with me. Mwah.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, health, or professional advice. I am not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from the use of this podcast. This podcast is not intended to replace professional medical advice.